Yo ho, a pirate's life for me. I bet you can guess the kind of game I'm recommending. Yes, it is a pirate game. The best pirate game that has ever been made, which mostly reflects how good this game is, and only somewhat reflects the lack of good pirate-related video games out there. What is this pirate-related video game I'm recommending? Well, if you somehow missed the title of the video, I'm Rio, and these are the completely biased reasons why you should play Sid Meier's Pirates. Another Sid Meier's game, Rio? I know, but this is the last one because Civilization and Pirates are the only Sid Meier's games I've ever played. As always, I'm going to start off with the history of Sid Meier's Pirates. The original game was published in 1987, which means the game is even older than the first Civilization game. It was well received and loved, and Pirates Gold, a revamped version of the original game, came out for various platforms in 1993. 11 years later, another remake was made, with the same title as the original game. That remake is the edition that most people my age played, including me, of course, and is the one found on Steam and at least one console from each of Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. Despite the game creeping up on its 15th anniversary, and the original having surpassed its 30th anniversary last year, the gameplay holds up amazingly well, even given its simplicity. I'll get into the various gameplay aspects and the story to give you a glimpse of what this game has to offer. The story is fairly simple, and is mostly just used to justify your characters becoming a pirate. You play as this guy. Okay, not him at that age, him at this age. Wow, someone got an attractiveness upgrade. You sign on to the crew of a ship headed by one of the 4 European nations, France, England, Spain, and the Netherlands, and set out in search of your lost family and to get revenge on the evil, in capital letters, Marquis Montalban. The crossing is brutal because of the terrible conditions and evil, in lowercase letters, captain. You lead a rebellion and take over the ship, becoming the new captain in the process. You and the crew choose to go for piracy. Although, to be fair, you operate more as a privateer than a pirate at this time, but hey, the game is called Sid Meier's Pirates, not Sid Meier's Privateers, so they've got to keep up the pretense. Additionally, despite being a fun game for kids and adults, the game is surprisingly historically accurate as to the reasons for becoming pirates. No, not that an evil marquis stole your family, but a brutal captain leads to mutiny, resulting in a change in leadership and the assumption of piracy as a means of sustaining the crew. That's surprisingly accurate to how many pirates' tales began in real life. That's the introduction to the scenario you are in. You arrive at one of the ports of the nation you initially signed on with and begin your quest to become the best pirate of the Caribbean. How do you accomplish that quest? Well, the game is split into various parts, but essentially there are 2 parts. The part at land and the part at sea. Your work at sea, though, informs much of what you do on land, so we'll start at sea. Your means of transportation is your ship, which you sail all around the Caribbean. You have the options to attack and plunder other ships you encounter on your journey. This can range from European ships from the aforementioned nations, other pirate ships including 9 historical pirates, and American Indian ships. Despite the ships only flying 6 different flags, the ships themselves are more numerous and varied. There are many ships in game, each with their own advantages and disadvantages. The pinnace is very fast, but has few guns and can't carry many sailors, whereas the flag galleon is bulky with less maneuverability but many more guns and crew. You can have a fleet of up to 8, but one functions as your flagship. That ship leads your party on the sea and is the one that engages in naval combat when combat is initiated. In naval combat, you enter a battle screen like the one shown here and fire at the other ship. You can fire 3 types of cannon fire. Round shot is the basic shot, chain shot is designed specially to take down sails, and grape shot is designed to take out crew. Fast but weak ships may also try to outrun your ship and escape, which you can do as well if the battle turns against you. Usually what happens is a few shots are taken before the ships clash and the hand-to-hand ship combat begins. However, you also have the option of sinking ships, but that's no fun because then you don't get the booty. Also, certain important ships owned by historical pirates and story villains cannot be sunk. You'll eventually have to board them and duel their captain. Some ships, never pirate captains or story villains, will surrender when you board, thus avoiding this duel. If they don't surrender though, you grab your sword and prepare to duel their captain. In the lowest difficulty there is no distinction between swords, but other difficulties have 3 types of swords: rapier, longsword, and cutlass. Rapier is best for fast attacks, longsword is balanced, and cutlass is best at defense. You exchange blows with the captain as the rest of your crew duels elsewhere, but your duel is the one that really matters. If you lose that duel, you lose, period. If you win that duel, you win, no matter if it's 100 against 1. Each move in the duel has a counter, except taunt. Although I think a good sword to the face is a nice counter to a taunt. By choosing the correct dodges and attacks, you can defeat your opponent. Assuming you win, you then get the ship and its booty. You can choose to keep the ship and add it to your fleet, or sink it. After battle, you can also sometimes get crew members to join you, or specialists who help your ship function better to join your crew. What do you do with this fabulous loot? Why, sail to port, of course. Once in port, there are a few things that can be done. The first option presented is a visit to the governor's mansion. There, if you have been helpful to their nation, you get promotions and land. And if you've been unhelpful, you get admonishments. You can also potentially engage in the romance option in-game by being introduced to the governor's daughter. Yeah, they're not subtle when they're putting the distinctions between plain, attractive, and beautiful. You can dance with the daughters in a dancing minigame. The dancing minigame is simply following the lead given by the daughter. If you screw up too much, you don't get any bonuses, but if you stumble your way through well enough, you advance the romantic connection between you and can engage in further romantic exploits. The second option is the tavern. There you can get information from the barman, barmaid, and mysterious stranger. You can also get special items that improve your gameplay from the stranger as well, for a price, and can even buy maps that'll lead you to buried treasure, lost family members, or lost cities. There will also usually be a group of potential sailors ready to sign on with you if you need more crew. Third option is the merchant, where you can buy stuff you need, usually food, and sell what you've captured, luxuries, spices, goods, etc. Fourth is the shipwright, who can repair your ship, buy ships you don't need, and upgrade your ship to improve its capabilities. In certain cases, you can also divide the plunder. Your crew has an in-game happiness meter, and they grumble and desert if you've been at sea too long, or if you haven't been providing them food. Dividing the plunder means you stay in port for 6 months and get a whole new crew, but keep a portion of your gold and your flagship, and everyone's happy again. Or at least not mutinous. Finally, you can check your status, and then you're ready to leave port. Not all ports are friendly, however, so what happens when you encounter a hostile port? There are 2 options that come with unfriendly ports: sneak in or fight in. The fight in option is also available for ports that let you into harbor normally, but it's mostly used against unfriendly ports. How do you know if a port is unfriendly? It usually lets you know, with cannon fire. Sneaking in means going in at night, hiding behind hay bales, scaling walls, knocking out guards, all to navigate yourself to either the governor's mansion or the tavern. If you are captured, you go to jail until you bribe a guard to get out or sneak out on your own, so try not to get caught. The second option, fight in, pits your crew against the port's defenders on a grid system where you do mini battles of attrition. Each side has unique units. There are no shared units between the pirates and the port defenders. Plus, many ports also have Amerindian defenders to help them. Some units are just melee, and some are ranged in addition to melee. If you lose, your crew runs away and you sail off. If you win, you gain access to the port. Also, if you get the port defenders down to fewer than 100, you can fight the captain of the guard instead. You then get to pick a new governor for the port. Theoretically, You could make every port in the game a Dutch port, given enough time. The last activity you can do on land happens when you're treasure hunting or seeking villainous lairs and lost relatives. For those, you're given a map with numerous landmarks, and you're tasked with finding the treasure, lair, lost city, or cabin where your prize lies. Maps can be obtained from story villains, governor's daughters, and mysterious strangers. These show up on your quest bar in the top left portion of the screen in order to be easily trackable. That covers pretty much the entire game when it comes to gameplay. The game is really easy to get into, and you can get a lot done very quickly early on. There are down moments, usually between long trips between, say, Trinidad and St. Augustine, but there's almost always something to do. Late game, they even add in wanted criminals you can track down for cash reward at ports around the Caribbean. The game can be a breezy, fun way to spend some gaming hours, and also brutally hard if you wish it to be. And despite the simplicity of the gameplay, it's continually engaging. I played through characters multiple times, changing nations, trying to accomplish self-implemented goals, and refreshing the experience. The gameplay is so good that this tactic works for many hours of playing the game, so I highly recommend this game for anyone looking to have a fun time. Although I really enjoy Sid Meier's Pirates, it doesn't stand as one of the formative series of my gaming history, unlike the videos I've made so far, so I'm only doing a brief personal story. I found out about the game by watching a friend of mine play it. My brother and I were both interested in it, so we got it, and both us and my sister have had a lot of fun with it since. It still impresses me with its detail and the enjoyment I get out of it more than a decade after I first started playing it. It's truly amazing. While not without its flaws, occasionally gimmicky gameplay, the map annoyance when anything ends up being past Veracruz, and the problems with fleet sailing, the mechanics work really well together and form a great game. Sid Meier's Pirates is in short the best pirate video game out there, and simply a solid video game regardless of genre, because it uses its simple, easy to understand mechanics to support and challenge the player, and leaves the player a lot of choice on how to go about playing the game. That is why you should give up your land-lubbering ways and join us on the high seas by playing Sid Meier's Pirates. Leave a like, a subscribe, a comment, a share, because all of those are very nice and helpful for others to find these videos. And if you want to check out other videos I've made, here they are. I even made a playlist of why you should play videos so far, which you can peruse to your heart's content. I'm Rio. I hope you enjoyed this video, and happy gaming.